Hello. Welcome to our 12th episode of Inspiration with Ines. Today's special guest is Marcy Blum. Marcy is an eventista. She's an expert in entertaining, etiquette, food, and wine. She has been producing creative and magical and personal events for over 30 years, launching Marcy Blum Associates in 1986, and she's been frequently noted as an innovator in the events industry. Marcy infuses her culinary arts background with her humorous and sane approach to entertaining to create memories for her clients. I'm so excited to be bringing Marcy in. So let's bring her in. I may need you just to help me with this. Let's bring her in. Hi to everyone that's joining. I see lots of people, and I'm super excited to be bringing you in. And let's bring in Marcy. And thank you to everyone that joined. Super excited to be seeing you. Marcy!
Hi there, how are you? It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. You look fabulous.
Why,
how are
thank
you?
Well, other than the fact that our air conditioning is not working here in New York City, and it's perhaps 3,000 degrees, well, I'm okay.
I know. Well, listen, I'll take the heat over scraping the snow off of my windshield, right?
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly, I feel that way. My dog, however, is trying to escape, but so far, so good. Yeah.
Marcy, I'm so happy to have you here. I'm just going to jump right in.
Please do.
You've been called an eventista. Can you tell us about why you've been named this and how you started your career?
Well, I think originally it was sort of tongue-in-cheek because there were so many people starting businesses after I'd been in it for quite some time that I sort of said, half in joking, well, I am the original eventiste, and it stuck. I started my career, I went to Culinary Institute of America. I was the first class of women to graduate, and I worked as a chef and a food consultant, and I was working in a group of restaurants as banquet manager, et cetera, and I really, people started asking me if I could do parties outside of the venues I was working in. And then the natural segue was, of course, weddings, which are far more popular and frequent than most other parties. Although now my team and I do all different kinds of parties. We just did an amazing engagement party last week that you might see on our Instagram today, because it really was fabulous. Not only because we did it, because it was one of the first big parties coming out of the gate after, pandemia. So we do all sorts of parties, but we do specialize in weddings.
I love that. I can't wait to see that. Are you able to share a little bit more about what we're going to see, or is it a total surprise?
No, it's on Instagram today. I just don't know how to maneuver Instagram and talk to you at the same time. So it's on my...
We'll send everybody over.
Yeah.
Let's send everyone over so that they can totally take a look. One of the things that I found so interesting about you was your culinary arts background. Can you let us know, how do you play this in? How do you curate a celebration and play in this background?
That's a really good question. Thanks. I tell you, I'm actually amazed and appalled at how often people don't pay any attention to the food, the service, things like that. And, I've been known for a couple of, perhaps not PC lines. And one of my favorites is, if you have a gorgeous wedding and you're not paying attention to anything but the way it looks, it's kind of like taking Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie home and they just lie there. And that's the way... That's really the way I feel about weddings as a whole, and I always say to my brides and grooms that it's an entire experience. So yes, it has to be beautiful, but the food has to be as good as it can be and at least interesting, and the experiences have to be unfolding on a, continued and interesting pace. It's not a one trick pony. It's really got to be it's an entire collaboration of teams, from the dress, of course, what everyone is wearing, to what they're eating, what they're drinking, and the performances. And I think, when I first started, people would say, well, it's a wedding, so who cares about the food, or why are you even asking about the menu, or what? And that was my niche. I mean, now, of course, many of my colleagues are as interested as I am, but at the beginning, people were like, well, you're never going to get decent wedding food, so why bother? And I'm happy to say that that is no longer the case. People are paying attention to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Attention to the details, I would definitely say, is key, for putting on a perfect celebration or party, let alone a wedding. And yes, we've had the opportunity to work together on so
Oh,
many
yes.
amazing, and I'm looking forward to continuing that with you, because it's always so exciting to see what comes out. Anything that you've touched, I've seen turn to I think magical events.
You're very kind.
Um,
I will say that two of our, I can say it, but I'll say it, two of our most exciting events was, Savannah James, LeBron's wife, wore an
yes, that was an exciting
InesdiSanto,
wedding.
and she
Absolutely.
looked,
Yeah.
I mean, she's a gorgeous, gorgeous woman, and she looked amazingly gorgeous in it. And one of I think our first collaboration actually was where we took 7 or 8. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble with my plug-in. So just give me a half a second.
That's
I have
okay.
to
Yeah.
relocate. 1 minute. I'll be right there.
No problem. No problem. We're listening to you while you
You're listening to me
relocate and plug
walking,
in. It's important.
clomping through my house. Okay, here we go. There we go. I apologize. All right. So sorry.
That's okay.
But and the other collaboration was a giant Russian wedding where all the bridesmaids wore Ines wedding dresses. I think it was maybe 10 bridesmaids that we took the wedding dress and we put in a color, like a deep, beautiful fern green color, and that was the wedding
Yes.
party. And that was really, I would say, to date, maybe my favorite bridesmaids ensemble collection.
Oh, I
So
love that. What a good memory. I do remember that.
it
And
was extraordinary.
it was extraordinary. And
Yeah.
you always manage to pull off such a unique but like fantastical production. I want to read a quote from an article that described you. Marcy produces events where the entertainment and decor are elegantly theatrical, the food is delicious and creative, the wines are thoughtfully chosen, and the service is beyond spectacular. I think that totally describes you and your work. So,
Well, you're very kind, and I will say, not that we're in the flattering each other, but I as you know, I've been a lover of your mother's design and fashion, forever. And I was trying to think how to articulate it before we got on here. And I would say, there's a lot of people now, designers, who are doing sexy. That's become almost de rigueur. And
yeah.
but it's a very thin line between sexy and still elegant, or just sexy enough, or not like just outright uh almost Vegas showgirl sexy. It's a very thin line. I think that's what you do so beautifully well for the women who want to show off their figures but still want to feel like they're a bride.
Right.
I think that is the niche. It doesn't mean, in order to feel like a bride, that you have to wear a humongous A-line princess dress, but it also doesn't mean, if you want to feel sexy, that you have to go undressed. And there's a really it's a thin line. It's a thin line. It's the same in our business. How do you
Right.
keep it elegant and still make it fun? How do you make
Right.
it surprising and still tasteful? And it's easy to do one or the other. The trick is, how do you how do you
How,
tread that line, you know?
yeah, how do you merge both together?
Right, right.
Um, I would totally agree with you. Um, Weddings are obviously coming back. I want to talk to you about what are couples wanting? What are some upcoming trends?
I think the trend that I'm happiest about, well, first of all, let me say, I firmly believe, and let me say this to all the couples, brides, grooms, whomever out there, that um, the journey is as important as the results. So if you're not having fun, whether you've hired a planner, producer, whatever, or your stylist, or your dress designer, or whomever you're working with, if you're not having fun, then reconsider, because it's not enough to get to the end and go, well, the wedding was fabulous, but that was a gruesome year. Particularly at this time after last year, the entire planning process, designing process, tasting process, every single part of it should be joyous. And I really think you deserve that. And I think you should stick to your guns about it. If it's not going that way,
Mhm.
rethink what you're doing. So
I love that.
that's, I firmly, I'm not just, lip syncing. I really believe it. So that's the first thing. And so what I am seeing, which I really love and makes me so happy, is that because of last year, the people who are lucky enough to still be here and be healthy and have the money to have a wonderful celebration are far more involved in their family and friends experience than only their own. And I love that, you know. And I mean, as I said, I've been doing this 36 years. I've had a lot of, celebrities, uncelebrities, rich people, not so rich people, but
Right.
I find the really interesting part of this year is people are like, you know what? I feel so damn lucky. How can I share this with my
Right.
friends and family, rather than, well, I want to be, the prettiest or the handsomest, or I said, I don't eat mushrooms, so take mushrooms out of there, or I like purple, instead of we're looking at it, more holistically. Let's look at the guest list. What kind of music do you think that your aunts and uncles might get a kick out of, even if we just do a set rather than all your music, really? And that's, I hate to wax so philosophical, but that's really a lesson for your whole life going forward and your whole entertaining life. And like, how do you make other people happy at the same time, not in lieu of yourself, at the
Right.
same time? What can you do to, that it's a group activity, because no one's ever happy unless their guests are happy anyway, right?
Yeah, you gave me shivers and like totally I felt that in a way that I truly really felt that because I do believe you nailed it. You really nailed it that now we're doing things more holistically like you said and not just for ourselves and the things
No,
those little details that are important to like your taste buds and whatnot, but now thinking about it holistically about who you're celebrating with, not who you're marrying,
right.
and really approaching it from that vantage point. And that's what COVID has brought a lot
No
of us.
question. That's the good, no question. That's the upside of this year. We'll take a guest list, we'll look at it, and I'll say, look, you've got 40 people here who are in their 70s. Wouldn't it be nice to do
Right,
something, you know, Sinatra or whatever? And instead of people going, no, I hate Sinatra, they're like, wow, that would be so cool. I would love that. Because,
right,
and that is what I think maybe for the most part, all of us, myself included, are a little kinder, gentler because of the shock of last
right.
year. And that's a good thing to infuse your wedding with, right?
And so are you seeing more and more, like I know you're talking about the part about enjoying the journey. Have you seen that shift, that paradigm shift in your couples that
No
are,
question.
yeah,
I mean, my clients are very demanding, and they have a right to be. They're spending a lot of money, and they have hired us to, be at the top of our game. But
right,
perhaps more respectful and kinder, which doesn't make them less demanding, which I accept. I never mind
right,
demanding.
right.
I get paid to make magic, but I do mind crazy. And I really have found that, yeah, in, as a whole,
Yeah. And they
people
come
are
to
being
you.
kinder.
they're
Yes.
very discerning. They know what they want.
Right.
They have a vision, and yeah, they demand that that becomes a reality.
Right.
So yeah, they come to you very focused, right?
No question. I mean, they may not know what they want, but they know that they want. I mean, people rarely come to us because they want to go to a hotel and have, a three-course dinner and dance sets in between. Rarely. I mean, on occasion we have clients who, I've done parties for their families their whole lives, and they want a very traditional, lovely wedding, and that's fine too. But generally, people come to us because they may not even know exactly what they want, but they know they want it to be different, or they know they want it to be really emblematic of who they
Right,
are.
right, right. Um, and I guess, can you share with us, where do you get inspiration from?
Ugh. um, that's so funny you were saying that. I mean, I think anybody, certainly yourself as a, designers, I think all of us are, that part of our brain is constantly on.
Right,
So, my best friend who lives in Palo Alto, I mean, this is just a silly little story, but this is how my brain works. Flew in last night to surprise her daughter and grandson, for 3 days. So I was at her house very late last night, and they had just redone the lobby of her parents, co-op in Manhattan. And I walked in, and they had done some 3D deco thing with the lighting or whatever. And I just started taking photos on my phone. I was like, I'm going to use that. There's a stage set I'm working on for a band backdrop. That was really cleverly done. So
right,
I think, it's really, I mean, I know we all say museums, fashion. Certainly we all try very hard. I think anybody who's at the top of their game in this business tries very hard not to take inspiration from other people doing the same thing, because then
right,
we all cannibalize each other. I mean, I have a lot of friends, colleagues, people I respect enormously what they're doing, and I look at it and I love it. I try very hard not to either subliminally or consciously copy it, because that's not fun.
right,
Um, but and if I do,
right,
plagiarize it, I try to twist it a little so it's not overt, or if it's such a good idea that I can't avoid
right,
borrowing it, I try to,
right.
at least have it as an homage rather than an outright copycat situation. But I
Correct.
think, there's 3 new restaurants have opened in New York. Uh, we are extremely busy at the moment, and frankly, if I didn't go out to eat for the next 4 months and I just stayed home and worked, I'd be really happy. But I cannot allow myself to do that. So I've just made reservations, one a week for the next 3 weeks, because I want to see what's going on, what they're doing, what I understand. One of them, the pavillon, the bar is supposed to be extraordinary. I have to see it. There's, it's not always fun to be inspired, but you have to absolutely be on the cutting edge of what's going on. There's just no two ways about it.
Absolutely. And I think that's true as we continue to move out of this this phase that we've been in, we can continue to draw inspiration for what's happening.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
no
And
question.
yeah.
Uh,
So
and yeah,
as the world opens up and things like New York is, buzzing with people like you that are getting out there in the atmosphere and totally getting out there, I just want to say I can't wait to see you. I'm looking
I feel the
forward to
same way.
seeing you. And
I'm
yeah,
so
it's been a long
excited.
time. I
Yeah,
feel like
long
hugs are the
time.
one thing that we miss.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, unmasked hugs, even better.
Unmasked hugs. Looking forward to the day that we can do that again soon and I can
Me
be in
too.
front of you. Until then, I want to thank you for
Thank
being
you.
our guest. You're a lovely guest, a lovely human being. Excited for
Thank
what's
you.
to come, Marcy.
Same here, Veronica. Please give my love to your mother.
She says hello. She's busy
Okay,
designing,
I
but she
know.
wants to say hello. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
take good care, sweetheart. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye. See you.